Southwest Florida, welcome to Lee Pitts Live. We are here, Johnny on the spot, in the neighborhood, because we wanted to be in the neighborhood, because we're talking about a lot of things, including Black Lives Matter. And coming up next, we're going to have on our show, we're going to get a chance to talk to some other community leaders who will be here after we talk to these fabulous ladies who are making a difference in the community. This is Lee Pitts Live. To establish where we are, we're at the Stars Complex parking lot. This has become one of my new spots to stop off in and capture the flavor of the community in the community. I know you guys are used to seeing me sitting in the studio. For those who are looking at us around the country, we're in Fort Myers, Florida, and we're in the Dunbar community. So Fort Myers, Florida is located in the southwest quadrant of the state of Florida, and the Dunbar community is the largest African-American minority community in this region. So Black Lives Matter has gotten on the map here, and a lot is going on here as it is around the country. So we're going to get up to speed when we get a chance to talk to these leaders right here. Let's get your name, and if you got a title for your organization. Is it called Black Lives Matter, Chantel?
So right now we're calling ourselves the Peaceful Protest of Lee County. That name could very well change soon, especially as we're challenging the name Lee and everything. Not Lee Pitts. We love the Lee Pitts, but you know, as we're challenging that name, we may change it to Peaceful Protesters of Southwest Florida.
Okay, and before we move on to your partner here, I want to let everybody know that I'm already endorsing Chantel. She's not running for anything yet. But remember, you heard it here first. I think she is electable for whatever she wants to run for, should she ever decide to run. Let's get your name and a little bit about you.
Yes. My name is Napa Peacock, and I am an administrator along with Chantel, and we are missing one more member. Her name is Lisa, and we have started this thing from the ground. You know, they were first, you know, they were the first two soldiers there, and I wanted to get in no matter what. And they saw me there every day, and I was heckling them like, hey, what are you doing? Who are you?
Peaceful protest.
I got in, and this is what we're doing. It's our trio, and I'm so happy to be a part of it.
So I'm so glad that both of you took time out of your busy day to join us here in the neighborhood on Lee Pitts Live on Fox 4. Once I started to see the movement that was taking place, I can't be at everything, but I was watching the movement, and then when I saw Chantel the other day, I said, Chantel, I got to get you on the show. I was, and it all worked out. Chantel, talk about the fact that we're sitting right here in the heart of the community and the whole peaceful protest, and a lot of it is centered around this particular community. Is it a great setting to be right here in the neighborhood?
I think it's a wonderful setting to be right here at the Stars Complex, where you taught me how to swim when I was a little girl. And just, it's been a beautiful coming in contact with people that I've known from way back in the day. They're still here, and they're looking for ways that they can get active around this cause, around this slogan, Black Lives Matter.
Now, you went off and you come back here. I think you went to college in Atlanta, Georgia Tech, if I'm not mistaken.
Georgia State.
Georgia State. See, I'm up on you now. I'm up on you up in Georgia State. Now, you, I think I read somewhere, I heard you talk about it, that you actually became socially conscious during that period of time. Talk
Absolutely.
about that.
So I moved to Atlanta around the time that Trayvon Martin was murdered, and Black Lives Matter, the actual organization, was birthed out of Trayvon Martin's death. And so I was in Atlanta around that time, and I was a social work student. I got my master's in social work from Georgia State, and I began to get active with the students there on campus, and they really taught me how to organize and how to protest. So yeah, Georgia State and Atlanta in particular is where I earned my stripes.
Okay, when would you say you got your consciousness and got woke?
Now, I will say this. For me, it's a little different because this is my first time getting my foot on the ground.
Okay,
when it comes down to protesting and being a leader and an activist, I love that. But when it comes down to what I was doing prior to this, I mean, anybody that rides in my car, they know that music it's not there. It's absent, because what I'd be listening to is just blogs about that focus on, and black blogs. I listen to that 24/7, where they focus on police brutality. They focus on what's going on nationwide. They talk about those issues, and that's all I listen to. So when it came down to actually now, unfortunately, with George Floyd and this movement that was brought from that, it's here in my own community. I said, like I said, I wanted my whole entire body and soul in it.
It is so refreshing to hear you talk about what you have going into your brain, into your mind, to where you have your radio set. not just listen to the same old bumpy songs every day, but you listening to news, you getting that nourishment.
Yeah.
Is that the same thing for you, Chantel? You get you some news, you keep up with what's going on in the world?
Absolutely, and I think a lot of younger people are using social media as a platform to get activated and to get informed so that they can show up in their communities. Back in the day, 30, 40 years ago, they weren't able to just pick up their phone and have instant access to injustices that could be going on all over our nation. And so I think it's a beautiful thing. I think, yeah, we're taking what we have and we're growing and we're working with it.
Now, here locally, people knew you, Chantel, grew up here, pretty popular family, Darlene, Mitchell, your brother's really successful. You came from a successful family, but I don't know that people knew that you had that next level in you in terms of consciousness to this level where you just say, hey, it's time for me to get out here and start being a part of the solution.
Right.
Were they surprised to see you and hear you speak?
I think a lot of people are surprised, but then again, they're not surprised. They knew who my grandfather was, Jerome Edie. They labeled him the black mayor of Fort Myers, unofficially, of course. And so I come from a caring family. I come from a caring community. I talk about my faith community growing up in Mount Hermon and how that taught me to have compassion for other people. I witnessed my pastor, Pastor Glover, take mission trips. So that started to activate me and thinking about the world abroad and what is outside of the United States of America. So I think a lot of stuff contributed to the person that I've become in this movement, but I would say the foundation was right here in Fort Myers. Everything that happened to me in Fort Myers is what made me who I am today.
Outstanding. If you were describing in a nutshell what is happening in Fort Myers, some of the things that have taken place already that brings us to this point, including the name of your organization, summarize to our viewing audience what has taken place up to this point since the George Floyd's murder.
Well, what I would say is that, prior to this, we were kind of just dormant.
Right.
We were sleeping and we were just worried about what was going on in our own personal lives or, trying to figure out what's going on next door. But we didn't have a mission. We didn't have a call. And like I said, unfortunately, due to that incident, now we're woke. We want to go to that next level. We want to see, okay, what changes can we make, with all of this going on nationwide and globally, what changes can we make here in our community? What can we put out there on the map to bring us out and for people to see us also doing big things, come out with a cause.
Right, so getting organized now, and it's a wide range of ages and demographics of people who are associated with your organization here in Fort Myers. I'm hoping that we can harness all of that under one umbrella because it's always different groups, but that allows you to have a bigger group, but they all can come together. A peaceful protest, is that the name of it again?
Peaceful Protest of Lee County. That's how you can find us on Facebook.
Right, and in social media, that's how they can join up with what you're doing and stay in touch with what they need to like that page.
Yes, they can request to join it, not like it, but they can request to join the page, and we will approve them. We have some people trying to get into the group who don't serve a purpose that will be beneficial or helpful to us. They're there for other reasons, to troll. We all know about those. So we do have a vetting process, but yes, you can request to join that group. So it's over 2,000 members in that group.
So when Leapers Live clicks on join, I'm in.
We'll have to do a background.
We'll still
check.
have to conduct some investigation. What's his true call? What does he want?
Tell me about a couple of events. I think you guys had a couple of marches downtown to the Fort Myers Police Department.
Right.
Tell me how that went.
We have been a little bit of everywhere. We were even connected with Naples with the, I'm not sure if you're... Alfie Oaks, yes, with the Farm to Table. We were also connected there. So we have been putting our feet, in every water.
So give me some specifics on where you've been on protests and what do you hope to accomplish when you do your protests?
So with the protests, we started out at the police department doing what they're doing nationally, getting attention. Protesting is so important, and I don't want people to undermine that because that is the loud cry that brings the awareness. people can be riding by in their cars. They see a sign. What is that all about? They see a large group of people standing for something. And so we started at the police department. We had a chance to sit down and talk to them. We even did something at the church where we wanted to bring the faith community in and allow them to activate their spiritual side and their prayers towards the energy of this movement. So we're trying to pull in different people. We just left a meeting in the park where we talked about ways that we can get younger people involved in voting so that we can take these next steps towards our progression.
That voting is one track, protest is another track. There's always multiple tracks that can be going on simultaneously, right? Right. So don't think I'm an old fart, just think that everybody just need to vote. I just don't think that. I believe that all these different tracks need to be moving along the tracks and not one particular track. Now let's talk about the voting piece. Your generation, you guys see that as important as well, and why?
It is very important because we were actually approached by someone, well, Chantel was, and she brought it up to the group where we can get involved with trying to bring that youth out, because we're so accustomed to the way that old-fashioned things have been, and, you know, the ballot on the door, and, you know, what do people usually do with those? They look at it and, you know, they set it down somewhere, throw it in the back of the car, never see it again, or in the trash. So we're trying to get that approach, like social media. That's part of our life, whether you like it or not. So we're trying to evolve ourselves with how we be able to catch this youth into the things that they're already doing anyway. And then at the same time, we're trying to come up with ideas. How are we able to get everybody in our community involved for those people that, you know, have never been interested in those subjects?
And to take it a step further, we're actually having to engage in conversations where we're educating people on who's running locally, but also we're having to address this issue. Younger people are very discouraged with the system. Many people think it's corrupt. They don't believe in it. They don't have faith in it. And anytime we look at what the younger people are doing, we have to look at what were the people before them doing that modeled it. How did it turn out for them? When they vote in any direction for any party, do those policies trickle down to the common man and affect communities locally? And once people start to know that their vote does matter, because we know that that's a form of voter suppression, is getting out this idea that, hey, your vote doesn't matter, oh, just one vote doesn't count, and this and the third. So we're having to do a lot of educating. So we're finding ourselves spread very, very thin, because it's not saying, hey, just get out and vote. We're having to take the time and to break down historically why people feel voting has not worked for us in the past, why our elected officials have not stood up risen to the occasion after we have voted for them. So there's a lot of conversations to be had about voting and who shows up.
I would think that you were also mobilized by the way that, particularly in the city of Fort Myers, the way the city of Fort Myers went about its support of nonprofits in its budget and how he went about that. I think I saw you out at City Hall at the meeting when they voted to not fund nonprofits. We don't have to get too specific.
Right.
That kind of sent you a signal as well?
Absolutely. I think that sent a lot of us a signal. I work for Quality Life Center, and so we were supposed to be the beneficiaries of budget of funding provided by the city, and that went a different direction. So that gave people an opportunity to see, hey, okay, this person that we thought may be in support of us or in support of what we are doing to better our community, that caused us to take a deeper look and to take a look at our elected officials and the role that they play. So yeah, I think people are getting activated in their own way, and George Floyd, his death sparked a lot of attention. It got a lot of attention.
When you marched downtown Fort Myers, you had a wide range of people there. Did you have any problems with violence? Anybody trying to loot or do anything to mess up your peaceful march?
Thankfully, no. We have not had any looting. We haven't had that bad media that a lot of other places are trying to spin that narrative. But we got to think, a lot of people are so in tune with their emotions right now that they probably never even felt those emotions really come out and take place. And so you can't victimize, and you can't also judge everyone that everyone is going through, because at the same time we're all trying to evolve into this bigger picture of how can I get my rage to become a change. You know, how
Gotcha.
can I equal this into something positive? So here locally, we have been very positive. You know, a lot of people have been very vocal about how they feel, but we have not had any looting. So, and we don't intend to, because we're trying to keep that control. You know, if it does get to those larger numbers, we're maintaining a goal. We're maintaining something that, you know, we can tend to teach everyone else, and that way they can follow.
I want to get a feel for the objective of your organization. I'm going to give both of you a chance to talk about it. Just think about it for a minute, because like we do know that one of the objective is to abolish systemic racism, particularly as it relates to law enforcement and people of color. Let's just say that for the jumping off point. But it's broader than that, right? It's not just about the police.
Right.
Go ahead and start that process of some of the things that you guys are looking at and trying to address. Start with you, Chantel.
So I would say our objective, and we're still formalizing it officially. This is brand new to all of us, but we want to give voice to people who feel like they don't have a voice, who feel like they're not being heard, and quite frankly, to people who feel like they've been left off of America's agenda. We want to shed light on those issues and do it in a way that is peaceful, so that people can't label us as angry and label us as looters and rioters, because we have had provocatives. We haven't had any violence, but we've had people that would attend our rallies to oppose us and to entice us, and we stood firm in our peaceful mission. But overall, we want to shed light on some areas that seem to be in the dark.
What stands out to you right now? Like if you had to take like 2 or 3 things right now that like you don't have to get a detail of, but just like stand out right now in a place like Fort Myers, when sometimes people go like, what's going on in Fort Myers? Everything's so nice and rosy and quiet, but it's not as simple as people may think, is it?
Well, 3 of the things I would say, definitely police brutality. I wouldn't say police brutality here locally, but police involvement in that engagement and what the police's relationship looks like with the community. Definitely we need to take a look at mental health. We need, especially the Black community, it's time for us to redefine how we look at mental health issues, take a deeper look at what's our family history, what's going on with our children, what's going on with our mothers and fathers, so that we can get some of those answers and help ourselves in a lot of ways. And also the education system. We have to look at who's being elected to those boards, and we have to look at the resources that are being put into education here locally.
Politics, right?
Absolutely.
You want to add anything to that?
I would agree with Chantel. Those are also my views. Education is my number one. I would kind of just move the list around, but education is definitely number one for me. You know, I have 3 of my own, so when I look at that, yes, I look at that, and that to me is my priority, because that's, you know, how I raise my kids. It's, you know, that's what they have to learn. They have to learn from that, and I just want to make sure we get the right picture.
What has been the general feedback from the community in general to your organization when people have seen what you guys have already done and know what you got going forward? How has that feedback been? What type of feedback you've been getting?
I would say the feedback that we've been getting, I know a few people that have said, you know what, I didn't think that we were able to even do that here. Or they would say, I never thought that we even had an issue here. I always thought that living in Fort Myers was just a peaceful place, a peaceful town, which it is. But people forget that, you know, there's still those underlying issues that we have to tackle. And if we bring those to surface instead of, you know, pushing those under the rug, it's going to bring us out to a more, you know, what are the real issues just overall, and what we can challenge and what we can, you know, change towards the end of that.
Well, I'm so glad that we have you guys out there doing what you're doing. Chantel, what has been, same question, what is some of the feedback you've gotten from the community, from so-called leaders, and just a wide range?
Right.
Is it
I think
generally
we've
been
gotten
positive?
it's been very positive for the most part. We've gotten a lot of respect. We've had law enforcement agree to sit at the table with us when they won't sit with many other people, and I think we are in a position where we can impact some real change in terms of bridging the gap. So we have had some people that feel like we're a little too mild with our message, but we're crafting that carefully. We're even selecting who. We did a peaceful protest, a silent protest actually, at the law enforcement rally, careful not to disrupt what they were doing, but we have to exercise our right to protest, and we did it silently. We had people yelling things at us, kicking things at us, trying to get us to speak, and we were trained. We trained ourselves how to carry that out, and we were successful with it. And we want to show people you can stand in whatever way you choose to protest, whether it's boycotting. Some people are taking to the streets. So however you do it, some people may get a hat, a T-shirt with a slogan on it. As long as you get active and have that voice, and I think in general we've gotten a lot of good feedback.
And one of the things that I thought was really touching, I saw from the Fort Myers Fire Department under the leadership of Chief Tracy McMillian. They Chief McMillian. They my fraternity brother. They were giving you guys water up there.
They were there to support us. Even FMPD, you know, they didn't want to look like they were taking a side and whatever, but they were careful to not agitate us. When they saw someone was coming and trying to provoke us, they did intervene and you know, try to separate things. They kept us safe, but definitely our fire chief, who we are so proud of here in Fort Myers, he was there passing out waters to protesters, making sure everyone was safe and hydrated, and we appreciate him for that.
That is amazing.
Absolutely.
African American fire chief, people who are looking at us from around the country. Chantel, I wanted you to take about 30 seconds, look into that camera, appeal to our viewers, tell them how to get involved, and just make your final comments.
Okay, so the first thing that you can do, peaceful protest of Lee County, Florida. You can find us there on Facebook. Join our cause. There you'll be updated on everything that's going on here locally. We have Gigi's birthday coming up this Friday. I don't know when this will air, but anyway, that's called Local Lives Matter. We're trying to get people here locally paying attention to the violence that's going on here in our own community, and follow us on that group and you'll be plugged into all of us.
Okay, I'm gonna give you a chance to get some closing remarks as well. I know I didn't prep you for it.
All right. Well, what I would like to say is that, you know, we have a very broad picture here, but we have to focus on ourselves as well. We have to look at what we can do in ourselves to change, you know, what's been going on. What can we change in history? You know, are we able to make changes within ourselves, our families, you know, at work? What can we do to speak out and say, maybe, you know, there's something that I can do without even you having to be out here in the streets. Maybe you can talk to, you know, at work. What can you do to progress, you know, anything that it's beyond yourself? You know, you just want to elevate yourself. So anything that is involving you want to look at yourself and mirror that and say, I could be a change as well, regardless of what I'm doing. But if I can make things better, at a better approach, with a better positive attitude, then we can move forward together.
And as we go off, I want y'all to notice these two ladies are educated. Education is important. Educate yourself. Be informed.
Absolutely.
Read.
Podcast.
What's some good stuff they need to read?
Live.
Go talk to me. Tell me some other stuff you were saying. Radio. Tune in to where?
Listen, I was glued to YouTube. YouTube was like my best thing. I didn't have social media. I just opened up Facebook just to get involved with what we have going on there. But YouTube is like your main source. There's so many bloggers there that are literally there just to bring you the exact information you need to hear. They're not there to criticize. They're not there to bring rumors or bring no BS. They're just there to give you the straight up information, cut and simple, and then you can take that and do as you please. But you're informed in what can you do to change and make a better future for everyone.
And take time to listen to the opposition as well, because if you just listen to people who agree with you, you have to take time to listen carefully to what they're saying. Oftentimes you'll find that they're not too far off in their message. They may misunderstand you, may misunderstand your community, but it'll make you more equipped in challenging them in dealing with these issues that surround, especially race relations. So. And
I know people right now trying to read that shirt you got on, Chantel. You might have noticed I've been looking at it. I want to go ahead and I'm going to read that off to everybody. It says, dream like Martin, lead like Harriet, fight like Malcolm, think like Garvey, write like Maya, build like Madam CJ, speak like Frederick, that'd be Frederick Douglass, people, educate like W.E.B., that'd be Du Bois, people, believe like a Thurgood, that would be Marshall, people, that's from knowing my history, and of course, challenge like Rosa.
Hey,
where can people get one of those shirts?
Listen, I got this when I was living in China. It was a total of $3 straight out of China.
Straight out of China. You guys got to get some of those on your Facebook site or come up with your own, and it might sell like hotcakes.
We should.
We're going to come back. We'll be right back, get a chance to talk to some more leaders in our community right here on Lee Pitts Live. Ladies, stay right there for a second.